This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
Hello Turkaholics and welcome back to Football a la Turca. We're covering the Super League Week 22 and the Turkish Cup quarter-final results. My name is Kaan Bayazit and today joining me at our virtual table on one side of the table is Burak Sezgin, the man of the law, and Galatasaray connoisseur Özer Dinger. And on the other side of our virtual table is former Göztepe wonderkid Umut Nadire and Berat Albayrak's favorite podcaster, Jakub Marufaulo. Jakub, a great week for you. Trabzonspor flying high right now, both in the league and also in the cup. They qualified, of course, for the semi-finals. They had no trouble with Büyükşehir Erzurumspor in the quarterfinals. They're going through. They'll be facing Fenerbahçe as they had no issues with Kırklarelispor. So semi-final, Trabzonspor, Fenerbahçe, a big fixture there in the Turkish Cup. But also in the league, Trabzonspor flying high. How are you and Berat Albayrak feeling right now?
I'm doing well. I'm doing really well. It's been a fun week, a little bit tense, because Trabzonspor is a team that generally loses games that they just have to win. But it seems to be changing this year, and I want to thank our Minister of Finance and Treasury for it. As Burak will probably repeat in his head also. We're doing well. I'm happy.
Yeah. All kidding aside, though, do you see a difference already between Ünal Karaman as the coach and Hüseyin Çimşir right now? Because in the first half of the season, I had the feeling that Trabzonspor were a little bit more combustible, a little bit more inconsistent. Of course, we're not that far into the second half of the season, but Trabzonspor are looking very solid so far. Are you seeing differences between the coaching styles, the way the team is playing? Yeah, are you noticing any differences?
I mean, not really. Loved to play a passing game, and at the moment, Hüseyin is also doing that. Hüseyin Çimşir is also doing that. But I think for now, the biggest difference between the both of them is that Hüseyin Çimşir does make pretty good substitutions, which was one of my biggest points when discussing Ünal Karaman, that he didn't make substitutions when it was needed. He always waited too long. I don't know if this is because he's now the head coach and he can Hüseyin Çimşir is now the head coach and he can do whatever he wants. Or maybe if it's because we got Eddie Newton from Chelsea and he got a lot of more experience with stuff like this as an assistant trainer, assistant manager. Maybe that's the difference. I don't know, to be honest, but I like the game that Trabzonspor is playing, not that different, to be honest.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Trabzonspor, because they are, of course, now, despite being a match down, they still have that match against Yeni Malatyaspor in hand, which they still have to play. They are currently sitting nicely at the top of the Super League table after beating Sivasspor this weekend 2-1, of course. Sivasspor continuing their slide down the slippery slope, and they haven't won since they beat Besiktas on the opening match day of 2020 at Vodafone Park. Things aren't looking too good for them. Mustafa Yatabare, the player for them to get on the score sheet again in added time. Trabzonspor win this one. Goal by Alexander Surlov and an own goal from Caner Osman Pasha. Right. So Alexander Sørloth, the man that really wasn't supposed to play this match, got a 2-match suspension that got appealed, was brought down to 1. I don't know about the feelings on that. Jakub, of course, I think you'll be happy with that, but do you think it's correct, the 1-match suspension rather than 2 for his action last week in the league match?
I mean, I was fine with 2 matches, to be honest, and I actually didn't even think that the TFF would, decrease it to 1 match after an appeal by Trabzonspor. I know that a lot of people online, on Reddit, on Twitter, on Instagram, people talk a lot about how different people like what Jailson did and what I think Quaresma did. They got a lot worse suspensions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that you can compare stuff like that because everything has the background.
The context is king.
The context is king. As I said when we were discussing the game where he got the red card, I thought it was a red card, but I didn't think it was that bad of a red card because he didn't just straight up punch him.
He wasn't trying to injure him or severely hurt him. Uzra, what did you think of the 2-match ban not being upheld, being dropped down to 1? Do you think that's okay for what Sørloth did?
I don't. The last time I remember a match ban being reduced was, I think it was Gökhan Zand who had a yellow card, and he was going to He was going to be suspended for a game. This was 2012 maybe, and I remember thinking when he eventually got it reduced, I was like, well, I don't understand why he's done that. I don't understand how we've got away with that. He's going to get to play the next game, but I was thrilled for it. So I think in my mind. You win some of those and you take some of those. So I guess whether or not I agree with it, it's just desserts for the one from 10 years ago. So I'll allow Trubs on that one.
Burak, do you agree with the comparisons that are being made to Jalson and Quaresma?
I don't think you can compare them. Jalson was at the end of the Gala match and a pure slap to Belhanda, who didn't get any punishment, which is baffling. The Quaresma one was a lot more violent than the self push to the face. Although they were both to the face, if you show both situations to someone, they can easily say that. Well,
if you isolate them, you can make it look similar.
You can see that. Yeah, you can see that Sørloth was being kicked. Well, I think I said he was being kicked like Donald Cerrone dishes out leg kicks in the UFC, or Justin Gaethje dishes out those leg kicks to the calf, and he was like he had shin pads. And I know he's they showed his leg afterwards, and it looked like it had taken quite a battering. So you can understand the reaction pushing. I think it was wrong that it was reduced, but it was, and he turned out to be the catalyst for both goals, scoring first and then putting the ball in the box for the second one. I think Trabzon probably would have won that game without Sørloth anyway, because they played really good football and pretty much have figured Sivas out. Sivas are the counter-attacking team, and if you don't just sit back, I think teams have figured Sivas out, which is why they're not doing as well now, and they've got a lot of injuries. But going back to the Sørloth thing, it was like when you got in trouble at school or you've got a detention, and you're generally a good kid, but you get into trouble every so often, and you go to the principal's office with your mum and dad to try and get your detention taken away, or revoked from a Saturday detention to something less. That's exactly what happened with Sørloth. He went down there to the TFF building with the Trabzon representatives. They said, "Look, he's such a nice boy. Look at him. He's 6'4". He's blonde. He's Scandinavian. He goes fishing. He's got a nice life. This is completely out of character for him because he was kicked hard." And then you had all the apologies that came out. I think that helped build the case.
You definitely convinced me. so far.
Plus, he's royalty, of course. He's the king of the North. How can you suspend a king?
I don't know, but he's eventually got to kill someone, like Jon Snow did to Daenerys. And spoiler, if you haven't seen it, but if you haven't, then
Spoilers.
where have you been? So yeah, I don't agree with it being reduced. I think 3 or 4 matches probably would have been a little bit too much.
Yeah, for sure.
Personally, but I think Trabzon are on such a roll that they probably would have won without Sørloth.
And how do you explain the slippery slope that Sivasspor are going down? What's going on there? They haven't won since they beat Besiktas in the league. They are struggling. Did Emre Kılınç play against Trabzonspor at all? Because I don't think I saw him at all. And he's been struggling a little bit, like Burak said, some injuries. He's been struggling with some injuries. And I think once you take that out of the equation, because he was to steal a word from Burak here, a catalyst for that Sivasspor side in the first half of the season. Maybe they're missing him a little bit, plus just generally some quality. Umut, what do you think?
Emre hasn't played against Trabzonspor. Instead, Rıza Hoca played Ziya up front and put Uğur Çiftçi on the left back, and it's like 2 left backs in front of each other. It's like not a regular Sivasspor tactic we see every day. But there's a funny thing that I think Rıza Hoca revealed his secrets in the program that he joined with Uğur Karakullukçu down there. And all his secrets were revealed on the television, YouTube. And now he's going up the hill.
That's true, yeah. It was on what's that show called? Is that Volley or is that...
No, it's called Dizilish Ertuğrul. Yeah, it's a weird name. It's from a TV show called Dirilish Ertuğrul, which is a Ottoman emperor. Ertuğrul Gazi.
Mm-hmm. Continue.
And so we've seen Rıza Hoca somehow reluctant to reveal his secrets during his interview with Uğur Karakullukçu down there, but what happened had happened. So right now he has to find different solutions to his problems, and also this is a different situation they're in, because in the first part of the season they were playing as an Anatolian team, and the other teams saw them as the regular Anatolian team as well. But right now they're like a big team in the league, and other teams are precocious against them. So they have to open up the gap against those defensive-minded Anatolian teams. And as for the big matches, the other team is well prepared this time compared to the first part of the season.
Mm-hmm. But I think we all kind of, in the first half of the season, we were all kind of looking at Alanyaspor, because they were up at the top for quite a while, I think 10, 11, 12 match days. And Sivasspor went under the radar, didn't really get noticed, as Umut rightfully pointed out, and it wasn't really until those final, I want to say, 5 match days in the first half of the season where Alanya started to falter, and suddenly Sivasspor took over and were suddenly at the top of the table there, out of the blue almost, because I think we collectively weren't paying much attention to them. And yeah, maybe Umut has a good point there, where now the other Anatolian teams are starting to look at them differently, treat them differently, play against them differently. But inevitably, I think we all kind of expected Sivasspor to crumble in the second half of the season. We didn't really think they would be able to hold their form as they did in the first half of the season. But I don't know if we expected it to happen this quickly, though. We're just 5 match days in, or I guess 4 matches in, and I don't know, are they out of the title picture already with this last loss now against probably their biggest rival?
I mean, I watched I watched Rize I watched Rize at Trabzonspor. the view of him I got is that he's pretty much like a half-season wonder. He performs really well for a half a season, but then for some reason, I don't know if it's his training that the players are getting tired of it. The second half of the season, when he was at Trabzonspor, we did just horrible. And I don't want to say that that's the reason. I think, as I always said, that the power of Sivasspor is more in having players like Mert Hakan and Emre Kılınç performing on a really high level, and having players like Yatabare and Kone, players that are pretty up there in age, performing pretty well in their heyday. Yatabare wasn't really good against us. Kone has been injured for a couple of weeks. Emre Kılınç is a catalyst, as we are all borrowing Burak's words, and they pretty much missed those attacking runs. Trabzonspor did push them a lot in the first half. I thought that the second half Sivas was more dangerous, but the road to a championship is a long one. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and I just think that the players don't really have that one player that can take them by the hand and push them to win those games that they are supposed to do.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Emre Kılınç, because throughout the first half of the season, he was the man dissecting the opposition's defense, whether it be with off-the-ball runs or with pinpoint passes. He has been, alongside Mert Hakan Yandaş, the catalyst of the Sivasspor. And if we look at Fenerbahçe right now, and we look at the type of football they've been playing all season, with both Ozan and Tolga playing on the wings way too frequently. Emre Kılınç is someone that can play either behind the striker, he can play on the left wing, you could even put him on the right wing. I think Fenerbahçe are going to have to make a good offer for a guy like Emre Kılınç, who is a free agent this summer, and Mert Hakan Yandaş too. I think Fener should be among the top bidders for him. I don't know if you agree with that, Burak?
I mean, I'd definitely be in the market for someone like Emre Kılınç, just because of the fact that he can, like you say, play in a multitude of positions, behind the striker, to the left of the striker. You can even put him on the right wing if we want to, because no doubt the moment we get a left-sided player, we're going to play them on the right side of the pitch. For some
undoubtedly,
reason. Undoubtedly so. So, like you say, he's going to come on he's going to be free. So yeah. I'm sure he's going to be up for grabs. I'm sure there'll be some European teams who have been scouting the Turkish league as well, trying to pick up a bargain. And if a European team were to come in for him, say someone like a Wolfsburg, or a team such as even like a Lille, somewhere where some other Turkish players are playing. Exactly. I would say to him, go abroad. Get your experience there. I'd love us to sign him, because he's young and he's quick, and he can go past players, and he's a dynamo. Takımın dynamosu olabilir Kılınç. So, but I think there's going to be a lot of people going around him. So, but I don't know what this injury that he has is.
It says it's on for a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, it says it's an unknown injury on Transfermarkt. There might be someone with some better news, like a Sivasspor.
Maybe he has signed with somebody already and is unwilling to cost them the title or something.
It's Illuminati. It wouldn't surprise me.
Berat does it again.
Yeah.
He's been out since the 2nd of February, and he's already missed like 3 games earlier this season as well, with a thigh muscle rupture, apparently. So that was the start of the season. So,
I think there's a correlation between Sivasspor's decline in form and Emre Kılınç's kind of decline in productivity. He hasn't scored or made an assist since before Christmas.
I think he only played against Besiktas, and he wasn't even supposed to play that match. He was supposedly injured, but they somehow rushed him to be ready, and maybe that's what's the problem.
Yeah, maybe. But he played against Göztepe too, which is, I think they won that game 1-0. But the game where they lost, where they got thumped 5-1 by Gaziantep.
Yeah.
I think he played 90 minutes in that game as well. But yeah, something's going on with Sivas. I think they just have peaked too early.
Do you think that because Sivasspor are very unlikely now to win the title, they are probably not going to go into the Champions League qualifiers?
Yeah,
Guys
I think
like
the only way is down.
Yeah, and Emre Kılınç and Mert Hakan Yandaş, maybe they were still holding out. If Sivas pulled off a miracle, they would extend with like a year or two maybe. But now you've got to figure that the vultures will be picking at their bones in the summer. And I know that I think all of us would love to see both Emre and Mert Hakan at our respective clubs. But if we take a step back and just look at it from as objectively as possible, if they would end up with a team in Turkey, where would you think they would have the best chances of playing consistently and being a key player? Uzur, I know you're a big fan. What do you think? Do you see them?
That's a tough question, because often when these talented Turkish players who've done well at Anatolian clubs end up in Istanbul, it's very rare that they actually make a big name for themselves and settle easily into the
usually
last
that
mile.
is because they make the wrong decision, I feel, because
I
rather than...
I think the decision to move to one of the clubs is a bad decision in its own right. I agree with Burak that these guys, if the option is there to go abroad, then go abroad.
But, like, for example, take Mehmet Topuz as an example. He ended up signing for Fenerbahçe, and he was, at the time, playing in the same position as Alex. You don't sign somewhere where you know you're not going to play in your main role.
What you mean? There's a lot of additional competition in that role. I mean, Galatasaray's midfield is basically made up of loanees right now, so maybe Galatasaray would be a good option. And actually, if you want to look at a success story, to counter what I just said, Emre Akbaba is one, because he was superb at Alanyaspor, and either side of his horrible injuries, he's been excellent at Galatasaray since he's come back. So, an Emre, double Emre in midfield is something I wouldn't say no to.
Umut, what do you think? Where do you see Emre Kılınç fitting in the future? If he doesn't stay at Sivas.
Yeah, I think it's still early for him to go to Üç Büyükler, but it would fit rightly into, I think, for Trabzonspor, who gives decent chances to young players. I know he's not young, but he's 25.
But they have Guilherme, they have Sosa, they have Nwakaeme, they have Abdülkadir coming back.
Guilherme is a loanee, so still haven't found both yet. But we'll see at the end of the season how they deal with these players. But I think if Feguli or in Galatasaray some foreign players go, he might get a chance in Galatasaray. But as for the recent news about the Mustafa Kapı and how we argued about the chances the Turkish players get in the team, lack of chances.
Yeah, but it's mainly the main academy players that aren't really getting the chances. There's plenty of Turkish players getting opportunities.
But you can't see also, as you said, I'm giving an example. You said Jimmy Durmaz as an example, but he even couldn't get the chance to play. Like, he played, I looked at that, and it's like 160 minutes for his total playtime this season.
Compared to Yunus Akgün?
Yeah, could be, but even Jimmy Durmaz haven't been getting chances, so it's not quite fair to say Turkish players are getting the
Emre Mor
chances.
was getting those opportunities that could have gone to the academy players, but we're kind of off track here now. Burak, what do you think? Emre, Mert Hakan, Fenerbahçe, Besiktas, Galatasaray, Trabzonspor?
I'd send them to Başakşehir.
Yes, let them waste away in front of 500 people.
Let them waste away, but you say that, but if Başakşehir keep Okan Buruk and, Edin Visca might be off in the summer at his age, he might decide to trade in Başakşehir for a bigger club. And if
do you really think it's still going to happen for Edin Visca? He's 30.
I think he could. I think someone might snap him up for like 2 years, potentially. At the just in the going past the peak into the twilight. But I think the style of football that Okan Buruk plays would suit someone like an Emre Kılınç. But I think they would only be able to lure him if they finish second and they get into like the Champions League qualifying places. But again, if you're a footballer and you're going to a Turkish club that's going to finish second this season, you have to be very careful if they try and sell you Champions League football, because you're going to go through a qualifier that you're probably going to lose. And let's be honest, because it's very rarely Turkish teams go through when they play the qualifiers for the Champions League. So unless Başakşehir win the league, which I don't think they will, I think they'll be in and around the top 3, top 4. But I think that would be a good place for their growth. It'd be in Istanbul, not a crazy big team. And İrfan Can might be off in the summer if he has a good Euros. So Mert Hakan could slot in there. Mahmut Tekdemir is not getting any younger. So, and Başakşehir might have some money to be able to offer it up to them. But even though I'd love to see them at Fener, and even just to stay in the Super League so we can see them play football. If they get the offer, I think they should go abroad at the drop of a hat. And that is my 2 cents.
I think personally, if I was them, I would not go to Başakşehir. They're both 25, going on 26. This is their chance. This is their big chance. They're never gonna have a better opportunity to either to go to one of the big clubs in Turkey or abroad. I think going to Başakşehir now, that's basically making a career choice. Then you're probably going to end, or at least have your best years of your career at Başakşehir. Like, I don't know, I think İrfan Can, maybe he still has an opportunity to go, but I think he's 25, 26 too. Or maybe he's 24, but yeah. Anyway, let's move on a little bit. Let's talk a bit about Galatasaray. Let's talk about them first. They had a rough week, I would say, going out in the cup, despite winning against Alanyaspor, but going out on aggregate, so no chance at the trophy there. But they are still in it in the league, of course, after their 6th consecutive win by the skin of their teeth against Malatyaspor, thanks to a penalty from Adem Büyük in the 45th minute. Adem Büyük again on the score sheet. But it wasn't all easy for Galatasaray. They struggled quite a bit. I think they were very fortunate that VAR didn't pick up on series handball. I don't know how that slipped through the cracks. And albeit they had their opportunities, but so did Malatyaspor. Özer, what did you think of Galatasaray's performance?
Yeah, performance was pretty average, really. The first half was decent, but towards the last 20-25 minutes, Gala were really pinned back by Malatya, and it was a really edgy finish to the game, because I thought Malatya more than deserved to score in that match. And we owe Muslera 1 or 2 occasions. And also after the first 17 seconds when he made a superb save against Gökhan Tere's shot. I mean, yeah, we've called Muslera into action more often than not in the last couple of games, even though we've been winning on trot. So I think that we were very kind of lackluster, a little bit complacent in this game, maybe with a mind on the derby as well. But the point is, we're winning the games now, and I appreciate that we have a fixture advantage. You know, everyone can see that. However, these same types of games we were dropping points at in the first half of the season. So there's definitely a lot more composure, and we're closing out games, and at least we're having kind of the mental strength to not concede in the last couple of minutes like we did 3 times at the end of last season. So, you know, trajectory of the team is good. Emre Akbaba played excellently again. He's back, he's stronger, he's more agile than ever before.
Won the penalty.
Touchwood. Won the penalty, Touchwood, Nazar Demirsin. Adem Büyük as well, he stepped up, as he has been doing. It's 4-4 now, 4 games in a row. Ömer played well again. He had, I think he had an assist that was denied by VAR as well, because I think the arm of Adem Büyük was offside. But, you know, he did his job again. I think...
Arms can be offside, by the way.
Well, yeah. I just wanted to highlight Seri because I think Seri's been pretty bad in the last few weeks, giving away a lot of balls in possession, a lot of sloppy passing, and he really needs to be sharp because we've lost Lamina now for the derby.
Yeah, injured.
That's a huge blow for us, huge blow, because he's been our consistently best performer alongside Emre, in my opinion, since the start of the year. And Seri needs to really up his game.
What did you think of that handball? Were you surprised that didn't go to VAR?
It hits them pretty fast, really. He's kind of turning his body away from it, but given the amount of panicky decisions that we're getting from VAR, then I'm surprised it didn't get picked up, I guess, yeah.
I think Rebosho's handball against Fenerbahçe was similar, to say the least.
Yeah, maybe.
Same thing, turning away and
turning his body away. Yeah.
Umut, what did you think of the exit in the cup midweek? Were you surprised that Galatasaray weren't able to turn things around against Alanyaspor?
Well, it was a large, it was a big score to turn up against.
2-0 in the away
2-0,
match.
yeah, in aggregate. So conceding at home, you at the start of the game, you gave the game away already, but they didn't give up and tried harder, but couldn't make it at the end. And we also lost Mariano there with the red card. He has shown at the 90 plus 5th minute. I don't know what was the need of it, but he was on a yellow and he did a foul there, unnecessary foul, and got a second yellow to receive a red. But also Adem Büyük was also in the score sheet there, and he's been contributing more and more, and I think he will be under the in the formation against Fenerbahçe, I hope, because it will be
really start, right? I mean, Radamel Falcao did come on in the league match for the last 10 or so minutes, but Adem Büyük, given his current form, I think putting him on the bench now for the derby, that wouldn't be the right sign towards the players, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And also, we've seen Ömer Bayram on the left back this time, different from how we see him this season, in the left wing or right in the middle of the midfield, as a dynamo, we can call it. But he's now he played in his original position where he played for years, and he was decent actually. But I don't know if Fatih will use him there. It actually relies on how Saraki turns out. If he's still injured, we're gonna see Ömer Bayram or Martin Lines on the left side of the back. I think this is a quite hard situation for Galatasaray, as well as Fenerbahçe losing the Luis Gustavo.
Yeah, let's talk about that in a moment. The big talking point in this cup match was, of course, the passive offside goal that was denied to Seri for Adem Büyük being in a passive offside position. At least that's what people were calling it on Twitter. But I don't really know how you call that a passive offside when the player is clearly hindering Marafona. Obviously, I don't think Marafona would make the save, but referees are not supposed to take that into account. The player is there in the path of the goalkeeper. I was surprised by how many people were, annoyed by that goal getting disallowed. What did you guys think about it? Was that the correct decision or not?
The offside before the penalty?
No, the offside in the cup match, where Adem Büyük was basically laying underneath Marafona in an offside position, and Seri's goal in the cup got disallowed.
I think I've successfully wiped that out of my mind. That whole game.
Yeah, no, I just found it curious that people were calling it a passive offside. I mean, I can see it if the guy is laying say 4 or 5 meters away from the goalkeeper or whatever. Then you call it a passive offside, but I don't really know how you... I mean, Burak, do you remember the position? Man of the law?
I don't remember seeing it live. I think I got into watch the match a little bit sort of later on, but having haven't watched it back. Like you said, it's not a passive offside. It's not a guy lying down injured like near the touchline who is, offside, clearly not interfering. Like you said, he is. Unfortunately, he's injured, but by being injured, he's blocking Marafona's ability to command his penalty area and get in line. And when the ball is played, it's offside. So it's. I think it's pretty open and shut. I don't know why people are getting so angry, but it's a Turk's prerogative to be angry. So that's probably why.
No, not because angry, but what I saw is that most of them don't really know the rules at all. Mm-hmm. Because without knowing the rules, they just want to talk about whatever they have in mind, and just because they're thinking it's right to say, just save their own team at the stake.
Yeah.
Well, we alluded already a little bit to that derby next week. Let's talk about the other side of that equation. Fenerbahçe, they played against one of the relegation candidates in Ankaragücü, who have, of course, had a very good start to the second half of the season, and they will continue that trend here with a 2-1 win over Fener at home in Ankara. Fenerbahçe didn't look particularly impressive at all. I think Burakü were not happy with their performance, but it does have to be said, in the lead up to that first goal, there does seem to be a pretty blatant handball in the build-up, and again, I don't really understand how stuff like that gets missed by VAR. It's baffling at times.
It is baffling, but you can't fault the performance of Ankaragücü, especially the little Georgian guy, Ljubonica.
Yeah, Ljubonica, he was amazing in the first half.
Oh, he was superb.
Ljubonica.
Absolute little firecracker. He caused Dirar no end of problems, and our left side with compiled of Nabil Dirar at left back and Tolga Ciğerci on as a left winger. Fuck me, absolutely horrendous. So Ljubonica was just dancing his merry dance around them, and he's so quick. And again, he's one of the many signings that Ankara made in January. As soon as the ban lifted, it's like they literally went to the supermarket with a trolley and just got their arms on either side of the island, just went whoosh, and just like, right, all of you, in you come, and they went off. But all the new signings played incredibly well, and Gerson Rodriguez as well, who scored the second goal, a great strike.
Yeah. Did take a deflection in Altay's defense.
A little bit of a deflection, but they fully earned their victory. We were absolutely awful. I think all of the outside influences have, I think, maybe gotten into the heads of the players a little bit, and maybe Ersun Yanal hasn't been able to get them concentrated on the football. It doesn't help that we're still playing Dirar at left back, and we're playing Charleston as centre back, while you have Rami and Simon Fallet there who've played in the cup. I would have been tempted just to play them instead of Jarlson. Maybe put Jarlson in midfield. Mm-hmm. And looking by the fact that Gustavo got booked, I think we will have to do that next week. I think you will need to start Jarlson in midfield alongside Ozan, because Emre's injured and Gustavo's suspended. So it's going to be either Rami or Fallet, and for them it's going to be a baptism of fire. If it was me, I'd probably go for Rami, just because of his experience and being in. Okay, he didn't play much at the World Cup, but he's played for big teams before in these kind of big games when he's been at Marseille, and when he's been at his previous teams. I can't remember right now, but there's always been a big derby. And he's got a bit of character about him. Whether he is as good as he used to be, question.
Sevilla, I believe.
Yes, probably was at Sevilla, wasn't he? Yes, you're right. It doesn't help that we are not playing the type of football where we are getting Muric into chances. He is having to do a lot of coming back and getting the ball, and there's no one quick for him to get the ball to. Kruse, who's a clever player, but he I think nearly everyone had a bad game apart from Max Kruse last week, and he, even by his standards from the last 6 games, he was poor. But the team suffered from just a lack of creativity and a lack of pace. If you look at someone like Trabzon, where you've got Sørloth up front, and he turns around, he's got Ekoban on one wing, he's got Wakayeme on one wing, he's got Sosa behind him, and they've got
Sarre.
Yeah, the players too. They play as quick passes, and Vedat probably looks up, and on one wing he's got Tolga Djerdjic, and he's like, "Fuck this!"
Oh my god!
And then he turns around and he looks at Dennis Turic, and he's like, "Dennis, you're left-footed. Why are you playing on the right wing? For fuck's sake!" I mean, at least put Dennis on the left because he's left-footed, and put Tolga Djerdjic on the right. I mean. We haven't played.
You could understand that if it was a Gökhan Töre type who likes to play opposite foot on the other wing, Arjen Robben type, but that's not the case with Dennis Turic. Dennis Turic is a crosser, is a classical, left midfielder, right midfield, whatever you want to call it. Like a David Beckham type.
And you've got players like Zeitz, who has been having a good run in the cup. Is like, why isn't he getting a chance to come on? And then you're chucking on Faraday with about 20 minutes, and with the team playing as badly as it is, you can't put that responsibility onto Faraday's shoulders. I would have started him personally, and I would start him in the derby, just to say, look, go in from the start, feel your way into the match. So I just feel it's unfair bringing Faraday on in this type of game where the team is just absolutely abysmal and hoping for wonders. And he's already coming into a flat atmosphere. The ball's not being zipped about. You've got Ozan, who failed to impress, and our best players were, I'd say, Serdar Aziz and Kruse. And when Serdar Aziz is popping up to get you a goal right at the end of the game, then that's when it's been a very bad day at the office. So I'm not looking forward to the derby this weekend personally.
It's funny. It's funny. Despite all this doom and gloom that you're presenting from Fener's side, I'm equally pessimistic from Jim Mom's side. Even though we won 6 out of 6, playing decent football, I think Lemina's loss is huge. Can't be underestimated. But also, there's the whole voodoo jinx thing of Kadıköy, which I'm completely fine with. I don't expect us to go out there and win. If we don't win, it's not the end of the world. But as long as we don't lose, that would be a huge blow for us. I think a draw is going to be what happens at the weekend.
It's destined for 0-0 then, isn't it?
It's destined for 0-0. Yeah, I know. It's going to be a boring game, and then I shall die by the sword if it's completely opposite of that at the weekend.
Yeah, if it's like a 4-3 or exactly. 5-4 for that. I'm like, last season was, albeit a lot worse, and it was 1-1. And there have been seasons before when we have been bad. I think, was it the 2000 or the 99 season where it was the freak goal by Samuel Johnson?
Johnson.
The big Ghanaian, he's knocking at your door. The deflected free kick. And again, this season, we've only got 1 point from the last 9. So again, it's a very bad time to go into it. But Ali Koch is speaking tomorrow.
How is Yanar still in a job? 1 point in 9. Damn. Crazy.
I don't think getting rid of him is going to do the team any good. I'm just think who else is you got to bring until the end of the season? Aykut Kocaman to get results-driven football. By just defending. I think Yanal's going to stay there till the end of the season. I mean, I think we had a poll saying if Yanal loses at the weekend, should he be fired? And there'll probably be people calling for him to be fired, but I'm like, what?
What's the catch?
Who else?
I was surprised though that it does seem like a lot of people are turning against the technique cadre, so to speak, because I do remember seeing a poll with quite a lot of votes on it, more than 20,000, I believe, and it really heavily weighed on that aspect of who is there to blame. Is it the players? Is it the board? Is it the TFF? Or is it the technical staff? And I was surprised by the result because, of course, Fenerbahçe have had their fair share of TFF conspiracy, whatever, this season. But still, large portion of the fans seem to be looking at the technical staff. And I'm just curious, what do you think, Burak? And also, are you surprised that Fenerbahçe have done as well as they did have so far with Ozan Tufan and Tolga Ziyech playing the majority of the matches on the wings?
I mean, coming into the season, I don't think any Fener fan realistically expected us to be championship contenders. If you looked at the team right at the start of the season, based on the season we had last season, and then the performances started to come. He had a great start with the 5-0 at home against Gaziantep Football Club. And then, the team started to play decent football, and then you had your spate of injuries. You failed to sign a left back. You were reduced to playing Dirar there because Hasan Ali got injured. Then you sent Ismail Köybaşı off. I'd probably rather play Dirar there than Ismail, to be fair. And then restrictions with the transfers. You weren't able to bring in the players that you wanted to. It's hard. I would prefer to play someone like a Faraday on the wing, just and a Deniz. So even though I think Faraday's best position would probably be a central attacking midfielder, behind someone like Muric. We've got Cruiser there, so I can understand the decision to play Max. But I would put Faraday on the right wing. I'd put Deniz on the left wing. Rotate them with someone like Seitz, but then there's no one else. Like winger-wise, a few of them get injured. You've got Gary who's injured at the moment, and he's done well for us, but he's not. I think he's on loan as well, so he's not a fix to the situation. I think it's a combination of everything that is compounding, but the club is, I think, just becoming a fortress unto itself, like it usually does. A lot of the fans are silly. I think the same ones that were chanting for Arsenal last year when Koku was doing badly are now chanting for him to leave. And I think they are just pure reactionary who don't really understand how football works from like a deep lying understanding perspective of
what was it that Aziz Yıldırım called them paralı köpekler.
Yeah.
But our good friend of the podcast, Arman Polat, of course, who's been on the podcast before, he has also been critical of the appointment of Ersun Yanal, and I think he has, throughout even the good run of form, upheld that, look, this guy just keeps doing weird things. And maybe Fenerbahçe would be better off right now if it weren't for Ersun Yanal with maybe a little bit more result-oriented coach like an Aykut Kocaman, despite him not having the last 2 seasons at Konya weren't a big success for him. But still, it's just baffling to see Tolga Ziyech start every match as a winger.
I think Tolga is a great player to have in your squad to bring on into that central midfield with maybe 20 minutes to go or playing the cup, because he is very hard worker. He will not try and do anything silly, but then again, he's not going to do anything great, as we can see. He's wasted a plethora of goal scoring opportunities when presented with them, and makes a wrong decision when he's in that final third. With the goalkeeper.
That's not really his role.
It's not his role. So why play him in a position where he's not the quickest guy either. He's got a good engine. He can run around for 90 minutes. He's this kind of big lump that you can put in there as a central defensive midfielder. I would probably stick with Arsenal until the end of the season, personally, unless things get really, really bad, which I don't think they will do. And I think
bad, you mean?
I don't know. I don't think it was awful. But it's got to be interesting to see what happens in the summer. Strong, rumours about Erol Bulut from Alanya, of course, ex-Fener player.
Yeah.
Would it be the right move for him at this point in his career, at his age? he's going to go at one point, or do Fener go out and try and appoint a foreign manager? But then again, who's going to be out there? I think there's a lot of football still to be played before the end of the season, and there's a lot of things that are going to happen in Turkey before the end of the season. So let's see what the socio-political climate is going to be like come, say, July, June, August, and then we can make a decision. But I would stick with Arsene until the end, like I say, unless we're on a run of losing 4 games in a row, in which case you have to be sacked.
There's this stigma, of course, in Turkey right now that a foreign manager can be successful because of the last decade or so. It's always been a Turkish manager who has won the league, but I don't think we should forget that I think starting with Lucescu in 2002, I think we had a stretch of like 7 or 8 years where it was always a foreign manager who won the league. And Lucescu twice, then Christoph Daum twice, then I guess Feldkamp or Gerets, and then I think we had Zico and we had Feldkamp, who then left, but technically that title didn't belong to him. I think but it was his title.
Caretaker came in, yeah.
Yeah,
I think there's only one man for the job, for the Fener job, and it's MRA, the slayer of Fener, Mustafa Akçay, top coach.
Yeah, I don't see a guy
Jürgen
from
Klopp
going to Fener.
Oh yeah, good point. So maybe he's waiting in line for the Trabzon job.
I don't see him coming back at Trabzon.
He was Trabzon coach, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he took Trabzon on that brilliant run, and then only was beaten by Juventus. This guy is a legend of a coach.
He was 1461 Trabzon's coach, I think.
That's it. Yeah.
And he brought up a lot of younger players, and then he went to Trabzon, and then afterwards Osmanlı, and good coach, and then he took a sabbatical. Anyway, let's talk a little bit Ankaragücü here. Huge win for them. Does not move them out of the relegation zone, however, as also Antalyaspor in the relegation zone got a win in their relegation dogfight against Kasımpaşa. Kasımpaşa, who just keep losing week in, week out. They are looking dead in the water right now. They're down right at the bottom, just 1 point above Kayserispor. They're on 16 points at the minute, and that's already 4 points less than both Ankaragücü and Konyaspor. And Konyaspor are probably another team that are going to have to worry about relegation. We spoke about it in the past couple of weeks. Of course, last week they decided to part ways with Aykut Kocaman, brought in Bülent Korkmaz. I think that surprised a lot of us. We were, I think, expecting Abdullah Avcı, Unal Karaman, and suddenly, bam, there it is. Bülent Korkmaz makes his debut as a coach in a home game against Göztepe, team on form, and they take the lead early in the match, but Göztepe turn it around, win 1-3. It was a very spectacular and exciting match, but I think also Göztepe showing their quality and Konya just coming up short. But was it a promising performance despite the result for Konyaspor?
Well, I think they had some decent chances, to be fair. I mean, they've come off a really horrendous run of form, and they haven't scored a goal at home since the 2nd of November, and ended up taking the lead in this game. So, you could say from that small little glimmer of hope that despite the fact that Bülent Hoca has his work cut out, then it's some improvement at least. At least the fans had something to cheer for a little while. But I agree that Göztepe were just, they were too hot to handle. They could have scored a lot more in this game. And then when you actually take a look at their squad and their starting lineup, at least, it's really quite impressive. We had Wilczek up front, who is kind of looked like he's easing in quite quickly into the squad. Serdar, Napoleoni, and Halil behind them, and then Castro and Soner as well. Halil again, my boy, I love this guy. What a classy goal he scored. It was. We talked about it, as the game was going on as well. It was such a classy chip, almost Haji-esque. He's now been given the captain's armband. He's really, really the star man of Izmir, and he needs to get that call up for the national team. I keep saying it every week. Keep scoring. He keeps turning on the style. He needs to get that call up.
Same can be said about Serdar Gürler, of course.
Oh yeah, agreed.
Who I think is even more influential.
Yeah, his time in La Liga obviously paid off.
Yeah, and Kasımpaşa in a very bad way right now. I just don't see. I think they're dead in the water at this point. And I think I said it a couple times last season about a team, and it didn't end up relegating. But I don't know. Kasımpaşa for me right now.
Kasımpaşa or Konya?
Kasımpaşa.
Okay.
Konya, I mean, I saw some like as I said, I saw some glimmer of hope here. They got their chances. They played against one of the better teams in the league right now, one of the teams in the best form. So I can still see them crawling out of this ditch, but at the same time, Ankaragücü are gonna really give them a run for their money, and I can't see Ankaragücü going down at the moment. So there's other teams that are hovering around that relegation zone right now, and we were speaking about it a couple of weeks, just last week I think. Malatyaspor, for example, who are on 24 points, and some of you were like, they're probably safe, but they're just 4 points off the relegation zone at this point, and there's still plenty of matches to go, so they will have to pick up their form. Same could be said about Sivasspor, who are on 24 points. Gençlerbirliği also on 24 points, but they are still moving up in the world. They got a win away at Alanyaspor this week through a goal by the returning hero Bogdan Stanku. Good win, great win for Gençlerbirliği to keep their head above water in that relegation dogfight. But really, there's a lot of teams, Malatyaspor, Gençlerbirliği, Denizlispor, Rizespor, all on 24 points, just 4 points against above the relegation drop-off. Then we have Antalyaspor, who with their win against Kasımpaşa now are on 22 points. And then, of course, Konyaspor and Ankaragücü both on 20 points. So those teams all look to be in it for that at the relegation battle at the minute. And it's going to be exciting. And I don't know, of those teams, if you look at the form graph, I think Ankaragücü have the best papers, and Antalya.
Ankara do have a tough next 3 games here. They've got the Ankara derby away at Gençler next Sunday. After that, they are at home to Sivasspor. They've dropped off, but still a good team. And then after that, they are away at Besiktas. So next 3 games, but they've proved with their new signings that they can give anyone a good game, and as long as they work hard, as hard as they did against Fener, then I think that they could come through that fixture list with maybe 3 or 4 points.
Yeah, let's talk about that other team that kind of dropped off in the title race, Besiktas, and the team that is still clamping on, Başakşehir. Başakşehir beat Besiktas 1-0 at home. I didn't think it was a particularly impressive performance by Başakşehir. On the contrary, actually, I think it was one of their more vintage performances. Really reminded me of the old Istanbul Büyükşehir Belediyespor, where they just for 90 minutes looked like the only thing they were interested in was sitting back and preying on the counter. And you could understand that if they got a really early goal here, but that wasn't really the case. Besiktas not capable enough offensively. Interesting tactic though. Sergen Yalçın clearly had something worked out, that they were going to try to shoot from distance and try to set up players just on the edge of the box to get a shot on goal. Mertz, I think, made about 7 saves or so. The only problem with that is, if you're gonna do that, you have to really try and make sure that person getting in that shooting position is someone like Kevin Prince Boateng and not Atiba Hutchinson, because Atiba Hutchinson, I love the guy, great player, great professional, but shooting is not his forte. El Neni had a couple of good shots, I think, or at least one really good shot where he really forced Mert to make a good save. But Başakşehir, without a lot of shine, without a lot of glimmer, get that win, and they are currently in second position. And we spoke about it earlier, Galatasaray with their win, 6th win in a row, they're in 3rd, and now Sivasspor have dropped out of the top 3, albeit on goal differential with Galatasaray. They are now in 4th position. So, what do you guys think about Başakşehir? I don't think they are title candidates. What I saw from them against Besiktas, to me, that's not a team that's playing for the title. That's a team that's playing for 2nd or 3rd place.
Well, let's give these guys a bit more credit, because they've got a game in Europe this week. They're playing Sporting, so maybe they just saw Besiktas as an easy target, thought, let's just get the job done, pack up, go home, and think about Sporting Lisbon.
Yeah, I don't think that's
a bit
case.
Harsh.
No, I don't think that's the case, because I think this was one of those matches, if they could have easily gone a goal down. They really needed an excellent Mert, I think, to keep them ahead.
That was amazing.
Yeah, and Besiktas, they were clearly giving Besiktas the ball. That was the plan. But I don't think allowing as many shooting opportunities as they did was part of their plan. So I think that if a detail went a little bit differently, this could have ended up very easily as a loss for them. So I don't know about that. For me, it was I was very disappointed. I expected more from Okan Buruk. I expected more guts. But maybe they figured, that hasn't gone too well in previous matches against Fenerbahçe, for example. So they tried something else. But I can't see them getting points against, for example, an on-form Trabzonspor playing like this, because I think they're just going to get punished if they do that.
Maybe, but I think they should still be given some credit for having that adaptable game plan. Like you said, they tried going all guns blazing against Fener, it didn't work out. They tried something different against Besiktas. This time it did work out. They've also got the middle ground that they play against, the kind of the average side. So I think Okan Buruk is showing us that he's got more than one trick in his toolbox. And I think, it was a slightly negative football. Sergen was really annoyed at the end of the game with his press conference saying we lost the game to a team who did nothing. But I think it's kind of underestimating the kind of the tactical prowess of Mr. Buruk's team. And we'll see what happens against Sporting Lisbon. But I think
someone needs to mute, by the way. Thank you. Sorry about that, Ezra, but it was starting to annoy me.
I think that
was, so I think they're not getting the credit there. So, can we also talk about Dembaba, please? Because
yes, of course.
I mean, he scored a brilliant goal on the end of a superbly executed move from Başakşehir and didn't celebrate.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, what? No celebration, really? I mean, he played for one season for Besiktas. It's not one season
he
plus
came back.
a little. He played a few games on that, but it's not like he's
won a title.
But he's not some sort of club legend, and he played for Göztepe as well. After all,
he's a cult figure though, and the love he got from the fans and all that.
If he scores against Göztepe, is he gonna have a muted celebration too? I mean,
he said this from day one though. He said it from day one.
Yeah, I just think it's a bit. I mean, I'm not asking for Adebayor versus Arsenal kind of thing like we saw in 2009, running up to the away fans. But I just want a little bit more passion. A little bit more passion.
It's professional. He did what he had to do. He didn't miss on purpose. And he has always said he wouldn't celebrate against Besiktas. So,
I don't know. If I was one of the 312 Başakşehir fans who turned up, then I would be livid by that.
Oh well, salt them. Who cares?
What about Kevin Prince Boateng's yellow card? Do you think that should have been a red when he came through the back of the Başakşehir player? He slid about a meter and took him out. He rightfully, yellow card, but could that potentially have been a red for reckless and dangerous play? What do you think?
Don't think so. I think he got the ball as well.
And also I wanted to say, what about the Dembaba goal, where it was given as a foul because Karius rushed out, jumped for the ball, tried to jump over Dembaba, jumped into him, and dropped the ball, and the ref gave a foul. Was that really a foul? Was Dembaba, or did he just knew what he was doing by standing still there and hoping Karius would rush out and jump into him? Because I didn't see a whole lot of what Bar did wrong there for it to be given as a foul. I
think the problem is that he didn't challenge for the ball, because he didn't go up for the ball or anything like that. So at that point, you're basically just blocking the goalkeeper. But for me, I think Besiktas got lucky there. But that's the rationale I'm being told, because he didn't go up for the duel. You're actually just automatically teamed as blocking the goalkeeper. But for me, I think that Karius fumbles it before contact. You can see him misjudging it. So I think it's lucky.
What's going to happen with Karius? He's going back at the end of the season. His 2-season loan is over. Yeah. So what do you see happening? And who do you think Besiktas should look for as a replacement goalkeeper, Khan? That's one for you.
I think the easiest fix is bring Fabry back. Fabry has not had a happy stay at Fulham. Only played a couple of matches last season. Got loaned out to Mallorca this season. Isn't playing there. I think it would be easy, cheap, and a good short-term fix. Fabri is going on 33. He'll be turning 33. It'll be an easy, relatively cheap move. I think Fulham won't be difficult about it. He didn't set the world afire in La Liga this season for Mallorca, so there won't be any tough competition. I think that's the logical choice. Otherwise, I think you have to look at younger players, maybe a Turkish goalkeeper, but I'm not a big fan of Turkish goalkeepers. An option could be Gökhan Akan at Rizespor. I'm not sure what his contract status is. Another one that I'd be very interested in, but that's almost impossible, is Berke Özer, who is doing really well at the Westerlo right now. But of course, he's property of Fenerbahçe, so I don't know how that would work. Plus, they paid like 2.5 million for him, so I can't really see that happen either. So
you can have him for 5 billion euros.
Billion or million?
Million. 5 million euros. Shake on it now.
That's not too bad.
That's me spitting on my hand for a spit shake.
Oh yeah, and there's what's his name? There's a Portuguese goalkeeper right now. He plays for Tondela, Claudio Ramos, I want to say. His name is. He is at the end of his contract. He's on a Bosman. Supposedly Erdal Tronelare is looking at him, and that's an option. I spoke to a friend of mine who works for Ojogo, and he's a very good goalkeeper, supposedly. 28 years old, rather small, similar to Fabri, like 183, but a very solid reputation in Portugal. So that's an interesting option too, free, and he's on a very low wage in Portugal, so Besiktas could bring him in on a relatively low wage, as they did with Fabri. That's an option too, of course, and I'm sure there's plenty of other options, but yeah, definitely Karius. I think that's not going to be, I think that best for both parties to go their separate ways. I like Karius. I think he's a good goalkeeper, but at the same time, I think he would probably be better off playing in a mid-table German side where the pressure isn't as high, because I don't know, it has affected him. I think that a lot of the criticism he gets is often exaggerated because of that big moment in the Champions League final 2 years ago. I think he's an easy target for people. I also think that in Turkey it's very easy to automatically shift blame to the goalkeeper. I mean, a friend of mine literally said about the Dembaba goal, "Oh, it's not Karius' fault, but a good goalkeeper would save that." And I'm like, really? I mean, that's the type of people that always say, a good goalkeeper saves that. So, are you telling me Gianluigi Buffon never lets in a goal? Does Thibaut Courtois not let in a goal? Does Navas not let in goals? Or do they only let in the best shots? Come on. That's one of the most annoying things. One of my biggest gripes in football is people saying a good goalkeeper saves that. Because sometimes that's like a savable shot and then it's true, but very often it's on a proper clean finish and then they're like, oh yeah, no, a good goalkeeper would save that. No, you can't just say that. Anyway.
Is that the Khan rant over for this episode?
Yes, but you started it, so you're the one to blame.
Oh god, Pandora's box was opened and he literally just kicked it down.
So I think we already spoke about Alanyaspor. There's one match I definitely still want to talk about. It's the Denizlispor match, because it also led to the resignation of Mehmet Özdilek at the end of the match. They lost, of course, against a dead bottom in the league, Kayserispor. The goal here came in the second half. But there's one moment in particular that I really wanted to highlight. Hugo Rodallega basically gets a Ryan Donk barge on him by Pedro Henrique, I think it was. It was a flat-out body check in the box. For me, that's a stonewall penalty. I know he's putting his body in between Rodallega and the ball, but the way he comes in, just shoving him basically with his... Yes, it's with his shoulders, but that wasn't shoulder to shoulder. That was like shoulder to chest or something. Burak, man of the law, please. Am I crazy, or is that just a stonewall penalty?
I am trying to find that position again, because I remember watching that and thinking, hang on, what's going on here? So I am going to defer until I've got the position up on my screen so I can go and give you actual live commentary on it. So
anyone else saw the position and it jumped out to them?
I didn't see it. Did you catch that?
Yeah, I think it's like a similar to Ryan Donk's position, but as Khan said, it's like more to chest. It could be given, but I don't know, man. Referees in our league, man.
I don't think it's wrong what he's doing. He's putting himself in between Rodallega and the ball, and that's fine. That's perfectly good defending. But the way he barges in, it's just too much. It's a foul. Anywhere else on the pitch, that's a foul. So in the box, it should be a foul too. Yeah. I think if that's anywhere else, the referee will blow his whistle 99 times out of 100.
And also, did you find out why Olcay Şahan was getting booed all of a sudden in the Denizli?
I have no clue.
They were saying
I thought
something
that was
about
really,
Besiktas
really
or something, weren't they?
Oh, well, that's a penalty. That's a penalty.
Yeah.
That's a penalty. He's just come and body checked him with his hip. His
no
hip.
eye for the ball, just bam into Rodallega.
Exactly. Was it Ömer Şener or no?
I think it's Pedro Henrique.
Pedro Henrique. That's one. The guy who he's probably getting revenge. He's probably thinking, hey, if Dunk can get away with it, so can I. So,
It was actually the guy it was on.
Yeah,
Same guy. Same guy. I wonder if there's any correlation there. Is it also the same referee? And he was like, "No, you can't give a penalty for that. You didn't give one last time."
it's like, I think Denizli can definitely agree because it was still 0-0.
Yeah, it was 0-0
at that point. So to our Denizli fan that listens and sends us messages as well, we definitely think that you were robbed of a penalty, but you've been playing very poor football for the last couple of weeks. So pull yourself together, man.
Well, there was something else I noticed in this game, which was another gripe that I want to add to my list. You'll see a recurring theme from my notes here. But the goal scorer, Cristian Saperanu, the defender, scored a great header for a centre back, especially really impressive header. But again, just like Demba Ba, his celebration was very muted. Almost he was going to cry from scoring. And I thought, what's going on here? I wonder, does this guy have any history with Denizlispor, perhaps? And his name sounded a bit familiar anyway. So a quick Google check. And it turns out he actually signed in January for Kayserispor from Denizlispor. But he'd only played 14 games for Denizli. He signed for them in the summer. So I was like, what's going on here? What kind of allegiance does this guy think he has? But here's the real twist. But here's the real twist. Before signing for Denizlispor, he was playing for Kayseri for 2 seasons. So he has such a vested history with Kayserispor. Why isn't he celebrating a goal that may even prove to keep them up?
Maybe he's on loan.
He's flip-flopped too much.
It's just absolutely crazy. He's forgetting what his entire career. And this is a guy who, by the way, is a Europa League winner and a triple league winner with Porto. So I was just like, well, okay. Where's your head at, dude?
Okay, let's talk about the last match of the match day, which kind of brought Rizespor in a difficult position. Mute, by the way. And Gaziantep, of course, getting the win here 2-0. But the real highlight from this match was Muhammed Demir and how he managed to miss 2 penalties in 4 minutes and absolutely piss off Sumudica, who already doesn't need a lot to get pissed off. Funny video going around, I think, as well, of Sumudica just losing it, walking off, going into the hallway, and then coming back out and just being livid. But Mohamed Demir, I'm surprised he didn't sub him off straight away. Do you guys think he's gonna be on the bench or even dropped from the squad for the next couple of for the foreseeable future?
I don't think he'll get dropped, but there's a reason why I'm not a manager, because I would have pulled him immediately and probably slapped him like what Samet Aybaba did when he was coaching us. But
yes.
I've read what's their other striker's name?
A Coyote, maybe?
Yeah,
or...
I've read that Coyote was supposed to take the penalty, but the first one, but Mohamed was like, yeah, just let me take it. I have a good vibe going. He missed it, and then the second penalty he gave to him because he thought that Mohamed looked so sad, so he wanted to cheer him up.
Oh man!
And
It was 1-0 at the time, and Rize were down to 10 men.
and
so.
it was so fucking hilarious to read that. I don't know if it's correct in any way. It could be like one of those Turkish Twitter polls, Twitter accounts just randomly saying shit. But come on, man.
It was like the Kvoike's thing with the Hikmet Karaman
Yes,
at the time.
yeah, that was amazing. But he scored, and he was all like, "Hey."
Also, also Cagney scored as well in Rizespor Deplasman last year. Like he was also arguing with Terim. Like he also missed the first one against Rize and wanted to take the second one, which was a lethal penalty for Galatasaray, which was obviously like changing the title race penalty. Like it's a go or die penalty, and he scored it. Fortunately for us, then it scored a winner header for us. Yeah, it was fine.
Yeah, that phantom penalty in Rize. Yeah, I remember that. Anyway, let's move over to the standings because, as I alluded to at the top of the show, Trabzonspor are now the proud league leaders, and they are so with a match in hand. So if they win that match against Malatyaspor on the road, they will be on 47 points. But right now, they are... Am I correct? Yeah, they're on 44 points right now. In second place, we have Istanbul Büyükşehir what am I saying? Istanbul Başakşehir on 43 points, and then we have both Galatasaray and Sivasspor on 42 points. And then Alanyaspor, who of course lost this week, they're on 39 in 5th place. In 6th place, we have Fenerbahçe on 38, and then in 7th place, we have Besiktas with 36 points. Of course, next week, the coming match day, 2 big matches. Besiktas will host Galatasaray, and Fenerbahçe will... Oh, what am I saying? Besiktas will host Trabzonspor, and Fenerbahçe will host Galatasaray for the Intercontinental Derby. And we already spoke about the bottom of the table. Kayserispor with that win doesn't really help them out that much yet. They're still dead bottom with 15 points. Then we have Kasımpaşa with 16. And then we have 2 teams on 20 points, both Konyaspor and Ankaragücü. Ankaragücü still in the bottom 3 due to goal differential. And then we have Antalyaspor on 22, and then a bunch of teams on 24 points. So go check out the league table for more in-depth details there. So we are starting off on Friday for match day 23. And we have Sivasspor taking on Alanyaspor. So 2 teams out of the top 7 meeting once again. Another tough match for Sivasspor. I hope for them that it'll be a little bit warmer this time around. And then on Saturday we have Konyaspor taking on Kayserispor, Kayserispor hosting Konyaspor, a very important match for that relegation dogfight. Göztepe will host Gaziantep, and that's a possibly interesting match for the fight for the Europa League. Then, of course, on Saturday we have Besiktas hosting Trabzonspor. Trabzonspor going for their first win at Vodafone Park, and Besiktas will look to rebound from their defeat at the hands of Başakşehir this week, of course. Then we have Yeni Malatyaspor taking on Antalyaspor against Gençlerbirliği, and Ankaragücü for the Ankara Derby, another important match in that derby, in that relegation dogfight. And then Fenerbahçe host Galatasaray on Saturday evening. That match will be played at, I believe, 7 local time. And then, of course, moving on to Monday, we have Rizespor taking on Başakşehir and Kasımpaşa taking on Denizli. And that is, again, an important match, possibly for that relegation dogfight. So plenty to look forward to next week. 3 clashes in the top 7 once again with Alanyaspor, Sivasspor, Besiktas, Trabzonspor, and Fenerbahçe. Galatasaray, of course. Guys, your predictions. Who is going to be top of the table next week? Jakub, you first. Are Trabzonspor going to get their first win at Vodafone Park?
it's going to be difficult. I've been talking with that one famous Besiktas friend of mine.
Name names, damn it! Name drop him.
I'm not name dropping anyone. And he said, this is the year that we actually don't really have anything to play for. Maybe Europa, but you're going to see that now that we have nothing to play for, they might go ahead and win against you guys.
That's usually how it goes.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm starting to get to a point where it's still too early to say, okay, we're going to be champions, and too early to have that, that feeling in your chest. But I'm happy with the team. I'm confident in the team. I can't wait to see Burak score and flip his shit and celebrate like he's winning the Champions League.
Well,
because it's bound to happen.
If Trabzonspor win, though, will you change your mind on that?
On what?
Will you? Is that a crucial point? A win away, one of your toughest matches left on paper. Do you think a win at Besiktas would set you up for that title? It's early days, but
I honestly think that the so-called smaller matches are more important this year, because the big derbies in Trabzon we tend to do well, and
away too.
I'm sorry.
Away too, you haven't.
Yeah,
lost,
away we are pretty good also, but I don't know. I still think it's too early to say. I'm never that type of guy that's happy or
You don't want to jinx it.
Yeah, that's also a bit. But as the team is playing, with Abdulkadir returning, it can only go up. I hope that it can only go up and that the team just stays injury free. I do think we'll win. The Besiktas Trabzonspor Besiktas games have been the most fun for me personally for like the last 3 years. I think that Trabzonspor will win. It will be like a dogfight. We'll be missing Mikel on the midfield, so
Yeah,
I just hope that we just don't fucking play Abdulkadir Parmak, because that's going to be horrible. As for the Fenerbahçe Galatasaray game, that stadium is just cursed, man. Even though I think that both teams aren't that good, it's either going to be a really boring 0-0 or it's going to be a shitfest.
As a Trabzonspor fan, though, would you prefer a Fenerbahçe win right now? Because Galatasaray are, of course, on a 6-match winning streak, and they, even when they're playing bad, we saw it last season, they weren't playing good. We all wrote them off early in the season because it was going so badly, and then they get into that title mode, tunnel visioning that championship, and suddenly they become unavoidable and go on a winning streak. Are you kind of afraid that they might end up being your biggest competition if they win their first ever derby away at Fenerbahçe this century?
I mean, Galatasaray is like Goku from Dragon Ball Z. Every time you think like, okay, no, this time he's really going to lose, he just goes up a level and they fix it. I don't know. They in my opinion, I don't think they have a really great squad, but they have been playing pretty well. The fan in me wants them wants Galatasaray to win, so Ersun Yanal is bound to be fucked off. But I think it's going to be really difficult for Galatasaray. I don't want to say anything, to be honest.
Bulak, your expectations of the derby? What do you think? Are Fenerbahçe finally gonna give up their Kadıköy virginity in this century?
Well, I thought it was going to happen last season because we were so bad. But this season we're going with a really bad run of form. Without Gustavo playing really badly, also without Lemina. So I think it's really going to be about what happens in that midfield. And I think we're going to see the battle of Emre Akbaba versus Max Kruse with regards to who can play that kind of number 10 role the best and wing the ball out. If we start with Tolga Ciğerci on the wing, then I'm just going to say, fuck it, we deserve to lose. Because doing that is just fucking suicide, and it's just horrendous to watch. I want to see a bit of fight now. The players have been under a lot of pressure, but you don't need much to fire you up for a derby, which is what we love. So I want to see the stadium rocking, singing for the full 90 minutes behind the players. I want to see the players actually playing like they care. I don't mind losing when the ref hasn't fucked you and you've left it all on the pitch. If you've not really showed up and you get beaten by a team who wants it more than you, then I'm pissed off. And I think I just want to see a performance, because we've not seen a performance for a while now from our team. I think the last one where we played really, really good football was against Trabzon 3 weeks ago. But I want to see something even more, because it's Galatasaray. It's the derby in Turkey. It's the match that everyone stops what they're doing and puts down their knitting. They put down the paper. Accountants that working on a weekend put down their calculators. The nines making the halı with the machine. They stop. They get the chai and gözleme and they watch this game. And I want it to be entertaining, and I want it to be free of fuckery from the ref. If there are red cards because someone's punched someone or someone's gone in with studs up on the knee,
that's just due a red card, I think.
That's fine. That's a red cardable offence. But I don't want to see this bullshit ref kind of antics. I just want to see a fair game of football that is contested by two teams that are aware of the magnitude and the importance of this match, not because of the effect it's going to have on Galatasaray season or Fenerbahçe season, but purely because of the fact that it is Fenerbahçe versus Galatasaray. And I want it to be a good advert for Turkish football once, and to be free of shithousery. Be interesting to see what ref they pick, if they haven't picked the ref yet for this one.
Here. Umut, are you going to raise the Japanese flag next week?
What?
Come on, do you not get that reference?
Is it a reference to Ulubatlı?
Oh, the Japanese flag. Oh my god.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'll tell you off air. Are you going to slay the beast?
Okay. I think we'll have a hard game this week. I said this before, Fenerbahçe lacking their best player right now, Luis Gustavo, and we're lacking Mario Lemina. Like they are both off for the game, and I feel pretty bad actually for Emre missing his last ever derby in his career, and I think it's a bad career ending for him. Unfortunately, he's injured. I know he wanted to play this game in his end of career, but it's a bit of unfortunate for him to missing this game in Kadıköy as well, and in front of his seyirci. Spectators, audience.
Has he announced that he's retiring after this season, actually? Has he officially announced that?
I think so, because his departure from Başakşehir to Fenerbahçe, I think it was a year-long agreement, as I remember, because I think the contract is also a year-long, Burak would know better, but if you can help us out here. And I think right now it's important for who is to play in the role of Mario Lemina in the game, because Fatih Terim could shift Ömer to right there, or could play Belhanda, which Özer would really hate.
Yeah. You're right, by the way. It's 2020, so his contract expires.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be remaining in football after that, because he right now barely remains in the game. You go
on the coaching staff, probably.
Yeah, probably, and he might be in the Fenerbahçe's coaching staff.
Maybe he can take over from Ersun Yanal. I don't know how far along he is on his UEFA license.
So like he'll do a Ryan Giggs.
Who knows?
Yeah, and I think Galatasaray has a fair chance in the game, but who knows? It's Kadıköy after all, and all the phobias from Galatasaray's players, and also we have to remind that Hasan Şaş is also suspended for the game. I don't know what he did, but it's kind of positive for Galatasaray because I think all he does there is to bring up a problem for us in the bench, and I don't rely on him in these high tension games because he's not a guy to guy to rely on in these games. Like he can't just control himself. Like
what does he do anyway? He's just
I don't know why Fatih keeps him in the squad, but
cheerleader.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I don't think he brings much in tactical aspects side, but I don't know. But it's a good thing he's not there. He won't be there. It will be a different game, and I hope to see a Kadıköy victory in my career of watching football.
Have you ever seen a Kadıköy win?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I've seen a couple.
Yeah, I know that. Just like how Steven Gerrard ended up without a title, I don't want to end up without a Kadıköy win.
Anyway,
I'm sure you'll see one. You've got at least another 60, 70 years on the, on the planet.
But then maybe he goes senile and forgets it.
Yeah.
We can but hope.
Anyway, let's finish the podcast with just one note. I think we've seen I don't know what's going on this season with all the racism in football in Italy. There's been a lot of examples again this season, and now this past week, even in Portugal, with Moussa Marega being racially abused by a very large portion of the Guimarães supporting section, walking off the pitch and stuff like that. And we, of course, recently had a little bit of stuff with Obi Mikel on social media, but I think that pales in comparison to the things we're seeing every season in Italy, in Spain, and now even in Portugal. And yeah, I don't understand what's going on in football with that. I think they just need to be very harsh. Just close those stadiums so as long as you can, if it's needed, until those people learn their lessons. The only way to teach them their lessons, I think, is if they get it through their thick skulls that they're actually harming their own clubs by doing so. It's absolutely despicable. And we at Football a la Turca are 100% with all the players that have suffered from this. We are against racism, of course. Kick racism out of football. Kick it out of the world, please. It's absolutely despicable. If you're a racist, go sod yourself.
Go fuck yourself. Apologies to our podcast host, but I believe this is one time where we can use that word against such idiots.
Yeah, I think it's also, isn't it funny how racists are always the ones that think they're superior, but are always the worst examples of their respective race. You know, they're usually Anyway, that's enough for that, I think. Go ahead, Jakob.
Before we sign off, what I wanted to talk about especially was the whole thing that's going on right now with Mustafa Kaplan. I know we talked about it like for a minute, but I personally know your feelings because we are in the group chats. But for the people that are wondering, how do you feel about him leaving or him not signing a contract? And at the same time, how do you feel about Galatasaray putting out that tweet?
Me or what?
Anyone.
Yeah, I think it's unprofessional. I think a club should always remain the highest form of professionalism. When a player is acting unprofessionally, I've said this in the past as well. When Quaresma the first time left, I think that the club there, the player can have done things and can have acted unprofessionally, but I think as a club you always have to rise above that. You have to show yourself to be a professional institution. I don't know what happened between Mustafa Kapi and Galatasaray. There's rumors that he is signed for Fenerbahçe and stuff like that. I don't know, but I think, you know, when you're not giving any opportunities to young players, then you can't fault them for not signing a contract. Galatasaray this season haven't given a single opportunity to anyone, I think. I don't even Yunus Akgün, who's supposedly touted as one of their biggest talents in the last couple of years. I don't think he's gotten a single minute in the cup even. Because players like Emre Mor and Jimmy Durmaz and I don't know, whatever, are getting those opportunities ahead of them. And look, as an 17, okay, but as an 18, 19-year-old player, you need to look for playing opportunities. And if you're not getting that at your club, if they're not even considering to loan you out, like, for example, Yunus Akgün right now, we saw him a couple times in the cup last season. Why is he still at Galatasaray playing for their under-19s? Why isn't he being loaned out? If he's a big talent, why aren't you investing in his future by getting him valuable playing minutes against real men and not children? You know, why are you wasting a year of his career? Why are you wasting a year of Atalay or whatever careers? Why are you wasting a year of Mustafa Here's career? I mean, he made his debut at 14 or something on the Olde Riekering. He could have been on loan this season to a second division team, maybe make a couple of appearances, 10, 15 appearances maybe, whatever, more than he would make at Galatasaray, and it's much more valuable to get that type of an experience than it is playing in the under-19 league in Turkey.
I agree. I mean, first off, I think it's just irresponsible use of social media by Galatasaray. There are plenty of ways you could have announced that he's being left out of the squad. You could have just said Mustafa Kaba has been left out of the squad until further notice, and then I'm sure rumours would have come out. But the way it was phrased and written made it seem like it was, we've done so much for you, and we've put so much energy into you, and you just turned around and said no, so you're out of the squad. And knowing the reaction that's going to get from fans, especially Galatasaray fans, then
I've seen a lot of Galatasaray fans criticize their club, by the way,
which is good, which is I think what is needed. But like you said, we don't know what the player's agent has said to him. I know it's not that scumbag Cenk Melih because I looked it up. It's not that scumbag Cenk Melih who was Melih Demiral's agent, as we know.
Again, that is Burak's opinion,
podcast. That is my opinion, not the opinion of Football Alaturka or Big Heads Media. But it might be in the best interests of clubs, though we know Fenerbahçe have got a little bit of an agreement with Westerlo, as we mentioned earlier, where Barakat Özer is currently playing, Barış Alıcı is there, hopefully he's going to get some playing time. They've also got Recep Gül from Galatasaray who's there on loan. So, like you said, this may be the second Belgian league, yes, but it's playing time, like you said, against fully developed athletes and not in a lesser, smaller league. And like you said, we can either start bringing in B teams, like you can see in Spain, where they actually get their proper playing time, or we'll send them out on loan where they have to be guaranteed to get playing time. But yeah, I think it was a badly worded statement, and hopefully Mustafa Kaba, he's got some support around him, just making sure it doesn't all get to him too much, because he's 17 and he wrote a load of tweets when he was 9 or 10 years old about Fenerbahçe, so he's probably a Fenerbahçe fan. But you're bringing up the tweets that someone wrote when they were 10 to use against them now when they're 17. It's just a cheap tactic, and it's done everywhere else as well. So recently, we're going off script here, boys and girls. Tegan Knox, who's a wrestler with the WWE, women's wrestler from Wales, tweeted when she was 17 that she is not a big fan of Alicia Fox, the women's wrestler. And now a couple of Alicia Fox fan sites and Twitter fan accounts have found those tweets. Sites. Yes, Foxy does. They found those tweets and they've resurfaced them some 10, 15 years later to try and tear. And it's just, like I say, it happens in football, it happens in wrestling, it probably happens in other sports like rugby and tennis, and it's just a cheap parlor trick that we need to. That people are just need to stop doing, but yeah, I think the statement was irresponsible and not worded in the way that is befitting.
Lots of those statements going out in Turkish football. It's maybe the club should make a statement about we're gonna stop making stupid statements now. Anyway, Umut, do you want to get your two kuruş in, iki kuruş, or?
Well, about Mustafa Kapı?
Sure.
Yeah.
Or about anything else happening in the world right now?
Not much, because as Yusuf said, it's a bad thing to as a club to make a statement like that. But as I said before in the group chat, we don't know the behind the back doors what happened. So I can't be sharp in that because I don't have a clear idea of what happened. Like if Mustafa is the faulty one here or the club, because as the club said, they gave like him more than 6 years of great, how can I say,
education.
Development, yeah. Club facilities, all the good things. He has been grown up in this Florya tesisleri. So I think club needs a bit of, good thinking.
But you also need to offer a player perspective. A player needs to have this. Needs to know that there will be opportunities, and right now when he looks at his peers, he's seeing a guy like Yunus Akgün getting zero opportunity. So it's also the club's own fault that a player is going to think twice before signing a professional contract, because maybe they're better off signing with Çaykur Rizespor or Sivasspor.
About that, I don't think this is a main faulty problem with Galatasaray, because this is a problem for every team in Turkey, I guess, because we don't have the B teams competing in the lower leagues for our professional youngsters, like Barcelona B, Valencia B.
But if you look at Trabzonspor, if you look at Besiktas, Fenerbahçe, their academy players are getting opportunities in the first team, in the cup or whatever. But
everybody's squad is different, so the player style is different, the management is different, where they compete, because it wasn't until then Galatasaray was eliminated from Champions League, but we had like 3 competitions ahead at the start of the season. Right now we are just competing for 1. So I don't know, but as I said before, we don't have any other teams those players can shine in. So I don't know if we can buy affiliate teams to shine our players there, like how or from a different league, from a different nation, like how
you can work out an agreement. Besiktas just signed an agreement last month with Fortuna Sittard in Holland. So
we have to do something like this, like how Chelsea uses was it Vitesse?
Vitesse.
They just send their 5 or 6 players who are just promising talents, and they find time there and they just shine themselves. So, which is a great thing. And I always admired that and wanted this to happen in my team. And
agreed, but it's not happening right now. So this player and as a Mustafa Kappa, as a Yunus Akgün, whose contract is up in the summer too, you want to hear when you're in negotiations and contract negotiations. Look, what is my perspective going in the future? I'm turning 18, I'm turning 19, I'm turning 20. Yunus Akgün is 19, I think. He shouldn't be. I mean, Mustafa Kappa is 17 years old. Fine. He that's different, but 18, 19, 19 going on 20, whatever, those guys want some sort of, not guarantee, but they want to see that there's
a gap, there's a glimmer of hope.
Yes, exactly. And right now, I think from all the top teams in the league, going purely on this season, Galatasaray are offering the least bit of hope for those guys, I think.
I agree. We only gave like 7 minutes to Emin Bayram or Yunus Akgün for the whole season, this season. And I think there should be a regulation in TFF, like how the youngsters, like under 21 years old of age, there should be a limit, a minimum amount of minutes to be played by those players who were under the age of 21. And
I think it's better to give positive reinforcements, because if you're going to tell, look, you have to do this, then you're creating another foreigner rule where you're going to get shitty Ismail Koybashes playing because you have no other option. You have to do positive reinforcement. For example, you can say, look, if you give under 21-year-old academy or under 20-year-old academy players X amount of minutes in the league, you get a monetary bonus at the end of the season or something like that. I think that's the way to go. Where
you can do both. Like, if you can have the minimum amount of limit, but if you have more than that, more than X amount of minutes, you can be awarded by that. But what I'm saying is, I don't think this is the same Doraf with the Ismail Köybaşı thing, because under
it's
20...
not, but you're creating a certain thing where you're going to...
Yes, but this is kind of an investment thing, because not the way that you see it as a like Tarık Çamdal or a Veysel Sarı kind of thing. Yeah, I don't think these are the similar things,
Yeah. Anyway, let's save it for another episode. We had this because this is a very interesting subject, I think, where we could talk more than an hour about. But let's finish up here with this final message. This week, February 20th, will be our 1-year anniversary. Football Alaturka will be around for 1 year, and we thank all of you, dear listeners, whether you joined us at the beginning, you joined us 6 months in, last week, or this is your first episode that you listen to. We appreciate each one of you. Even if you have differing opinions than us, please tweet us at Footy Alaturka or our personal Twitter accounts and come and talk to us about your views on Turkish football. But as a token of our gratitude for you, our listeners, we are giving away one football shirt of a Turkish club of your choice, but you have to keep in mind, we have to be able to find it. So if you're going to say, I want a Fatih Karagümrük shirt, and we can't find it, okay, sorry, it has to be somewhat realistic. We have to be able to order it online and have it shipped out to you. But we are going to raffle off one shirt, and all you need to do is follow us on Twitter or like us on Facebook. You can do either or both, that doesn't matter as long as you do one of them. And of course, subscribe to the podcast. So what you have to do, go on our Twitter or on our Facebook accounts and either share or retweet our giveaway tweet or post on Facebook, and also comment on that post or that tweet with a picture showing that you subscribe on any podcast platform to Football Alaturka. And that's pretty much it. If you can do that, you will be automatically inserted into the contest. And next week, on I believe the 25th of February, we will be announcing the winner, and that person will receive a shirt of their choice. Guys, anything to add to that?
Nothing apart from join a competition. It's super easy. All you have to do is subscribe, tweet us that you subscribed, and your name goes into the draw to win a a Turkish football shirt of your choice. It could also be the national team shirt as well. So it's extremely easy to enter, and we'd love to see it. And we love seeing you tweet us with pictures saying that you subscribed and you support the podcast. So thank you very much. And like Khan said, as the first birthday, a 1-year-old Bebek podcast that we are, we would be delighted to reward you all with a fantastic episode. There may be some surprises. There may not be some surprises. But yeah, one of you will be receiving a football shirt, and we will probably do something fun with the draw for you as well. So we'll get creative. We'll all next some lahmacun, gözleme and ayran, and come up with a creative way to let you know who the winner is of the Football Ala Turca birthday giveaway bonanza.
And on that note, we will see you all again next week, hopefully, with the announcement of the winner of the shirt. And please, if you haven't yet, go and take part in the contest. It's, like Burak said, super easy, and you don't want to miss out on this opportunity. Anyway, Burak, Jakub, Özür, of course, who's already left us, and Umut, thank you very much, and thank you for listening to Football Ala Turca. We'll see you again next week.
See ya.
Cheers.
Adios.